this is an interesting, I guess, ish debate overall that I wonder about. And that is, what if your ancestors are assholes? This is something I've seen kind of coming into, I guess, the consciousness of many different people as we talk about this time of the year, how we're supposed to be celebrating our ancestors, connecting with them. That's a table. And one of the reasons that I don't is, honestly, when people call in those that they love versus those that they don't, it seems very weird to me. I think I mentioned a little bit in my things that kind of freak me out video. Contacting ancestors, whether they're ones I knew or didn't, it just seems very and then part of it, I think, comes down to, one, the idea that if I have moved on from this life, I don't know necessarily if I would want to be contacted or called in. I like when things are like done to leave them in the past for them to be done. So if like my children or, someone was constantly calling my consciousness back to this life, then I think I would probably get a little bit irritated at some point. And again, this is just me babbling about my opinions on it. But on the other side of that is, well, what if I don't want to talk to these people because they're kind of jerks? They were asses in their lifetime. They weren't exactly nice people. I think a lot of times when we talk about ancestors and the power of them, they got your back, we always think about those people who, in our family trees or in the past, were the people who, fought the good fight and were the good rebels and, made sure that they were good people, and especially if you're calling on an ancestor that you personally knew, you're talking about the people that you really care about or the people who were awesome. But also, too, something that I think we talk about when we talk about shadow work or breaking like ancestral curses or things of this nature is the idea of that our ancestors weren't perfect people, and a lot of times they were assholes, especially if you are someone who, looking back on your genealogy as a person who's like white who came to America, at some point you probably had some pieces of shit in there. It's unfortunate. It is what it is, right? Like, I know in my genealogy alone there are slave owners in my past. There are people who did atrocious things. Like literally there is a story of a guy, I think, oh God, how many generations back? At least maybe 5 or 6 or something. He basically used one of the wars that he fought in to fake his death and disappear from his wife and his kids, and then he went and married another woman. And then when both women came to the government to collect their, hey, my husband died in the war check, that's when that got, like, understood that that was a thing. Like, that's the only record that we know that this happened. And I don't even know which wife ended up getting it, or which wife technically I'm the descendant of. But like, that's a shit ass move, dude. It's a shit ass move to, one of my ancestors I know owns slave because he passed the slave down, and you're just like, that was a person. No. There's so many things like that that really just, when I think about ancestors, like, I don't know you. I don't know how well you did back in the time. Like, even the people I know, I wouldn't want to contact them because I'm like, hey, you're probably in a new life or a new existence, a new embodiment. I don't know if I want to call you back and bother you. But on the flip side of that, if I don't know you, I don't know what the hell you did back in the day. And I don't think I want to call that energy into my life. Especially when I think of like, well, it was a different time back then. I mean, there's still, like, don't be a piece of shit though, right? And I think no matter what, like, a shitty person is still a shitty person, regardless of the time, right? Like, there's some things where you're like, okay, yeah, context always is helpful and valuable. But a lot of times, I think, when I look into my history and think of like ancestor magic and stuff, it's either people who I'm too close to and I feel weird about calling them in, or there's people with such a huge amount of, I don't know, distance, and then with the historical context of everything going on, like, they're just shitty people. Like, it just, I don't want you in my magic. I don't want your vibe and the weird possible negative energies that you have put out into the world to reflect back. Like, I'm trying to break some shit. I'm trying to like get away from some of the crap that maybe you brought into the world, which is, I don't know, one of the things that really made me consider this is the fact that my mother called me several years ago being quite amused, because she's always amused by all the ancestry stuff. She's interested in just finding out where we come from and just knowing the story, whether it's good or bad. Like, we talk all the time, it's like, oh man, you were a dick, or you were angry. Like, there were like, there's always like notes sometimes left underneath some of the entries that people have put in ancestry.com with different stuff. And one of the things that my mother found out is that apparently we are the descendants of the captain of the Mayflower, Miles Standish. And at the time she was like, interesting, okay. And it was like kind of a fascinating thing. It's like, okay, but then when you think of the full context of that and then the extra stuff that was put under who that man is troubling, to say the least. One of the things is he was a Puritan, so like, hi sir, your descendant is now a witch. How does that make you feel? Two, he was a bit of a drunken dick. There is apparently a letter where someone was like, he keeps drinking, he won't stop drinking, he's causing a ruckus, he's causing conflicts with the natives, to which I immediately went, wait, the captain of the Mayflower, okay, one of the few people, like, first people that came over here who started the whole, like, we're fucking with the poor Native Americans. There's a letter saying that he is starting conflicts. Did he start the bullshit? Like, no, 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 no. All of the no. And there's like a letter, like, someone in the colony was like, hey, England, please take him back. Can we please send him back? We needed it. And I think England wrote back and said, nope, sorry, your problem now. We don't want the drunken asshole either. Like, oh, that's great. Now, granted, again, historical context. Was that the perspective? That was just one person's perspective. There could have been politics, but there's so many shit. But when you find out little pieces and take in historical context and see the things that your possible ancestors did, I don't know, this is something I come up with a lot when I think of working with ancestors in my practice. And one of the main big barriers I have to do it, because I just don't want to, like, in finding out about these types of people, like, sometimes maybe you do find out that, hey, you were related to this really awesome person that fought the good fight against the assholes of the world, but we all came here and someone had to be the descendant of the assholes. Honestly, like, the assholes wrote a lot of the history. A lot of us came from the people who were actually doing the persecuting, the people who were holding down other people, the people who were being drunken dicks to the people who already lived in a land that you decided, no, this is my new place now. Like, it's not always the fun stuff. And it's interesting shout out, and this is more of just a discussion type of video. What do you guys do if you work with ancestors when it comes to the assholes possibly in your family tree? Do you address it? Do you talk about it? Do you not? I know since finding out about certain individuals from my family tree, I do feel a certain, I don't know if say responsibility, but I feel an urge to make sure that I'm, you know, if I'm going to be giving to a charity or, you know, like doing something in order to help a group of disenfranchised individuals, if my ancestors had anything to do with the reason they are kind of now disenfranchised, like, I do definitely give a lot more. I was giving money before to certain Native American tribes, especially when they're like doing things like fighting the Dakota Access Pipeline, stuff like that. If I could give money, I definitely did. But if I wouldn't be lying if I say after finding out certain things about my family tree that that is not amplified by that. I'm like, you know what? If my ancestor was the drunken asshole who shot a poor Native American person for whatever reason, then I hope that he is turning over in his damn grave, wherever the fuck he is, every time I give money to the tribe of people that he hurt. The spitefulness in me is like, stink that. You know, breaking in a way a little bit of a generational curse of being a dick. You know, just by being a little nicer. And I think it's even harder than in some ways to wrap my mind around, because I have, you know, people in my family who have survived atrocities. Like, my great-grandfather survived the Armenian genocide, so it's like I have people in my life and stories told to me of people from, you know, one side of things where it's like, yeah, they were the oppressed, they were the people who were hurt and had to fight to even survive and to continue on what they were. But then you also then find out on the flip side, it's like, okay, yeah, but it's not all I come from these people all empowering whatever else. I also come from quite a few assholes. You know, it's a mix. And I think that's one of the things that kind of happens in everyone's family tree, right? Like, not everybody's ancestor was a wonderful person. Lots of ancestors were pieces of shit because there's been lots of pieces of shit in history. And I think that's one of the main, it is. It's just, it's a big barrier for me where I'm just like, I don't, initially, again, when I call in the people that I'm close to, the people whose stories that I know, that I can genuinely go, you know what? Maybe they were a little weird here, a little messed up here, but overall, you were a good person. I still don't want to call them in for some reason. Again, it's a levels of reasons why I don't do a lot of ancestor work, but the asshole thing is definitely one of them. So, I don't know, comment down below how, if you guys have looked into your ancestry, have you found a lot of dicks? Have you found a lot of people that you were just like, you know what, if you were alive right now, I kind of want to just, like, you deserve it. Or are you one of those people who, you know, you don't know much about it, or you find a lot of power in your ancestors and you kind of just call them as a group of people, and do you not worry about maybe the different intentions of said ancestors or things that they did in their lives, you know? Does the idea of generational karma influence at all how you guys deal with your ancestors? This is very, you know, it's just a question. It's like, what if your ancestors are dicks? What if they're jerks? I don't know. All that in the comments down below. Anyway, this is part of YouTuber. I make new videos every single day during this lovely month, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.